On top of a 4-mile-wide meteorite crater in present-day southern Ohio stands the mystical earthworks known as Serpent Mound. Once a pilgrimage location for many prehistoric humans who probably worshipped the serpent as a lord of their underworld and prominent player in their creation myth. Serpent Mound was likely built between 300 BCE and 1000, with the purpose of directly communicating with and worshipping a sacred power. Also, there has been evidence of an altar and skeletons with heads severed indicating human sacrifice took place here.
It's a very active place, and it's a cemetery. So you got to think, there's a lot of spirits up there, and they're still there. So I think it's a good place to pray and celebrate, honor what's there. One thing I can say about Serpent Mound is that it actually magnifies the conscious mind. So people like to go up there and pray and make intentions. So it's a perfect spot for that. Examples of magnifying your intentions. During ceremonies up there on several occasions, you will see something form in the clouds that you're thinking about, praying about. We had a skull conference there. Perfect skull in the clouds. No clouds in the sky, but a perfect skull up there. Another time we were doing a cross-quarter, it was called an in-between solstice and equinox celebration. About 200 people holding hands. And somebody said, look up, and you looked up, and there's a perfect Serpent Mound in the sky. So things like that happen. And it's just, and I've also witnessed spirits up there. When people are praying, spirits abound, especially on camera. So one instance, a friend of ours was up there praying. She just lost her husband, and she was in the oval, which you're not supposed to be in, but she was in there praying. And I walked by and I clicked a couple pictures of her as I walked by. And I got back and I looked at him on a monitor, and her husband was sitting right in front of her, who just passed, looking at her. There's a high energy field right here, and if you look at here, it's kind of hard to explain this, but there's a fault line from the crater right here.
Yeah, this is like one of the only craters on a fault, isn't it?
It's the only one. And right here at Parker Ridge, 3 miles up, the fault goes all the way across where the asteroid hit here, and goes all the way across the head of the serpent, and ends at the crop circle. And there was a mound in the field across the street. This is the crop circle. It was 271 feet. 2 days ago was the anniversary for it, okay? And this right here pointed right across the head of the serpent. And the fault line goes right across that, goes all the way across the crater, all the way over to this other fault, and then goes north and south to the green field and the New Madrid. So it's connected with the earth, really connected. And then this area right here, where your breccia is from, goes down over 6,000 feet in the ground. That breccia.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think caused it? Did you see that in real life?
Yes, I was here. I walked in it.
You walked in it?
28 inches of soybeans.
How
The
do you
most
think that
interesting part is from here to here is 17 feet. Okay, there's no beans broken down. There's no way somebody got in there without breaking the beans down. It was all done from above. And everything was folded down. It wasn't like Ted and Bob out there for stringing a board.
Right.
So the night that was made, there was a violent thunderstorm, a lot of lightning. And this field here, we've actually seen ships in before.
Really?
Yeah.
Where's that at? From here?
Right across from Serpent Mound. Here, I'll show you. See? Right here. So here's 73, right? There's the entrance to Serpent Mound. And the crop circle was here. And it's from here to across the head, it was a half a mile.
On top of the intensive labor it took hauling dirt in baskets, these ancient builders used their knowledge of the sky to incorporate in the design at least 15 solar and lunar alignments. Serpent Mound's site was sacred for the civilizations that existed peacefully on the Ohio River Valley up until the 5th century, when they seem to have migrated in search of more fertile soil. The site might have been abandoned then for 300 to 500 years until it would have been revived by the Mississippian Cultural Revolution that was sparked by a vast American trade network that was also able to spread spiritual unity and other cultural developments. Out of the impressive amount of mounds these people were able to construct, only a fraction survive today due to erosion after all these years, many becoming farmlands and plowed into oblivion. Looting, decay, and mystery has led to us having a very low amount of artifacts left over from this civilization that once thrived here. In modern times, archaeology has uncovered for us what life might have been like in the year 1000. See, there was an artistic boom occurring throughout Mississippian culture in North America, those who worshipped the serpent. Artists utilized an extensive trade network to source exotic materials such as shells, crystal, and copper. Art was a huge part of their dancing and stargazing rituals at the earthworks, where people educated themselves on the night and day skies, where art would even be encapsulated within the mounds. Expert weavers worked alongside talented fashion designers proficient in handmade methods, such as stamping elaborate patterns on clothing and wearing jewelry from head to toe. These people were heavily influenced by the serpents in their patterns and might have even been influenced by ingesting psychedelics too. Popular themes in art during this era also included circles, swirls, crosses, nude gods, birds, aquatic animals, and sometimes all interlinked together like daisy-chained portals to other worlds. These people believed these other worlds gave them a right to this land, and to this very day the Shawnee still feel connected to Serpent Mound as had their ancestors. They traded with the Ho-Chunk, who were also influencing this Mississippian cultural boom, with a city center in present-day Collinsville, Illinois called Cahokia.
We see the first settlement here probably around 700 or 800 AD, but really begins around 900 to really expand, a big expansion and an explosion of population around 1050 AD, and the peak period for about 100 years after that. And then starting in the 1200s, we start to see a decline. Basically, it was an agricultural society. These were farming people. They were growing a wide variety of crops, as well as hunting and gathering of native crops and native plants. But also it was a hierarchical society, a rank society, a very complex society. That many people, you had to have very strong political organization, government to manage and control not only the population here, but probably much of the surrounding area too.
In the year 1450, climate change had severely impacted the food supply. Trade decreased, and cities shrunk into sparse encampments. What do you think is the appeal of this location to an organization such as the Haunted Network, which specializes in finding ghosts?
Well, I would say this definitely fits the wheelhouse of the paranormal experience. So much so that there's a lot of interesting energies and rocks and minerals, specifically certain minerals that is hard to find throughout this here great land of America, especially Ohio, because we are in an impact crater, right, from a giant something that landed here and caused a crater. And I think it holds the energy of a magnetic field, and as we know with different spirits and ghosts and apparitions, sometimes that magnetic pull, either using magnetic tape or the magnetic fields use pendulums, can help bring together and hold the spirits of certain entities. And as we know, there's some burial mounds over there, and some say they even found some sacrifices. Don't quote me on that. They did say, some people say they did find them, but who knows how they died, in the mouth of the serpent itself. So I believe that there is something here. And anytime you're in the woods, there's always sprites about.
Well said, and is it true that on your first visit to this very location, you found a secret passageway to a supercharged obelisk that once stood in the mouth of the serpent?
Yes, the last time I was here, I met a nice elderly couple who were giving free tours. And they told us about the obelisk that was in the serpent, the egg. It was in the egg, in the middle of the egg, that you would find in the serpent's mouth. And that a couple of puritanical folks, their wives, did not like this obelisk that was in the middle of the serpent's mouth. So they had their nice big husky husbands, farmers, push the obelisk over the cliff to maybe never be seen again. But just you wait. You're about to see it here on the Haunted Network.
And thanks to all our viewers, we are able to pay our insurance that allows us to go on this treacherous hike down the secret passageway. And that's why the Haunted Network is here today. Let's go see what we can find. Come on, Network.
Here we're going through this giant impact crater that goes into the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. Now, as we spoke about earlier, there's a lot of energy here. This is said to be one of the biggest impact craters in North America, maybe even the world. The impact crater has deteriorated over time, so what we see now, you'll see in the skyline of trees, you'll kind of notice there's a dip. But what we see now is much smaller than what actually used to be here. They even say that this crater predates the Appalachian Mountains, which is said to be one of the, if not the oldest mountain range in the world.
Alright, we are on our way now down the secret passageway into where the obelisk was discarded in modern times. And we reached this very point, and I can feel in between my ears some kind of resonance that I'm really excited. I feel like we might be on to some groundbreaking research. Let's take a look.
Oh, party foul over here.
I'm also filming while rock hunting, while just tuning in to my senses of looking for ghosts or any anomalies that might pop up.
There's a specific kind of rock and mineral around here. Especially a bunch of these rocks that, like, when the blast took place, it kind of fused the rocks back together. So there's a bunch of, like, rocks that are fused together and minerals that aren't supposed to be put together. And allegedly under a black light, it kind of like glows.
And what do you think attracted the early humans that inhabited this place to this very site?
Well, I think they like to credit the Adena people for living here first. And we do have a creek and some creeks. The Brush Creek as well is the main one. So there's a water source. Also, we would be, since we're in a crater, you can say we're like in a valley, quote unquote. And with the magnetic pull, and the things are a little different around here, such as, they say, car batteries and things shut down sometimes. It could be the newest car, and things just switch up. But also I read and heard that weather was affected around here, so much so that the weather, for the most part, was easy going. You had your rain, but you didn't have insane storms within this crater. You did have your snow, but not insane blizzards and things of that sort, and also the land with the adjustment of minerals was said to maybe even grow some more have a stronger yield with the crops around this huge crater. Remember, it's not just Serpent Mound, it stretches for a long time.
It's just so amazing to be walking through one of the oldest meteorite craters right now. A lot of folks don't even know that it is here. That probably attracted the ancient people who constructed Serpent Mound.
Get that breeze, get a nice breeze swooping down into this crater. It would have been great as it is today, nice on a hot day. It feels like fall down here to a certain, to me at least.
Well, how are we feeling? Sensing anything in this part?
Who knows? Thinking about all these rocks and how old they might be, and there could be some of the really special rocks that were fused together after the impact. Here we have this interesting matrices that goes through this rock. I could be wrong, but it could be one of those fused rocks we talked about from the impact. Allegedly, a lot of the sediment rock and stuff is really bonkers around here. I believe the man who studied this said that this land was upside down because the impact kind of messed up the layers, and especially with the fused ones. Pretty interesting.
We gotta watch our step now because we are walking where a meteorite once crashed long before our time, long before humans stepped foot on this beautiful planet. And let me tell you folks, you can just feel the magic.
And here it is, folks, the obelisk, which toppled from Yayward Cliff. From the center of the egg all the way down here.
And we still really don't know when the obelisk was planted at the mound. Is that correct?
Yeah, and you know what, to be quite honest, some people say that the obelisk was totally destroyed and this might not actually even be it. But I've heard various cases where this actually is it. But it's something that this county and the people for ages did not really want to advertise. Obviously, like pagan imagery and whatnot. and they didn't want to take away the fame of the George Washington Monument. So here, this one is, it most likely is it. But if you have any other information, please comment on the video.
That's right, folks. And don't forget to subscribe. It is really something to see this, and I can't believe it was desecrated and pushed off the edge of the cliff into the crater itself. And the thing about Serpent Mound is the latest archaeological digs unearthed the fact that it was probably two different societies that built it over possibly hundreds of years, because groups of people back then would migrate around a lot, and they wouldn't really stay here too long because of the weather or just their dietary needs and whatnot. But it was definitely a place where people would come and dance and observe the beautiful solar system, and imagine a clear night sky, everyone's dancing, and might even be a few human sacrifices, and just the imagery of the obelisk, it kind of brings us back to Poverty Point or other earthworks where they would have wood or stone kind of pillars for ritual use. But I kind of want to touch into the spirit realm here via the SB7T spirit box to figure out what is going on. I definitely want to speak with the spirits here, if there are any, and try to figure out what life was like back then. Are there any spirits present with us today? That's interesting. I've never had it kind of glitch like that.
Batteries and things get affected around this area.
That's true. It's acting very odd right now. Well. Hi, my name's Stevie, and I brought this tool to communicate with you today. What are the elemental spirits tied to this location? The sun. Yeah, good ears. So you observed the sun and the stars and the moon. That is so beautiful. I love to do that as well. The sun. Yeah, good. The sun. Yeah, good. What was the main purpose of this location? Is there anybody buried here?
Battery life.
The speaker was fully charged, and now it's already running low on batteries. And it's been cutting in and out. We weren't getting too much here, but it was clear that the sun is what brought people here, according to the spirit box communique.
We also have this pendulum to try out in a bit. Depending on this stone, exactly what it's made of, we always know about the stone tape theory and the limestone kind of containing certain energies, which could be interesting to try it out. So we're going to take this pendulum, and you want to get it set to a certain, supposed to be in tune with the magnetism of the ground, which is could be a little faulty down here. Say this way for yes, and go back to the center, and this way for no, and back to the center. Are there any spirits here at Serpent Mound? Are there any spirits here? Notice It's starting to spin slightly. You could say yes or no a little more. You can see it. Are there any spirits? It's circling, and I would say going into the yes category. What do you think, Stevie? There you go.
It took a while, but yeah.
And that could be the magnetic elements at play. Thank you. Are you buried here? Are you buried here? Going towards
No.
a no. Excellent.
Only high-ranking people would be buried in these mounds, according to some historians.
Did you belong to a tribe that lived in the area we are at? Are you part of the tribe? You're part of the tribal people here? Going towards yes, don't you think? Very subtle.
Yes.
We're going to leave you in a second to check out the great land here. Is it alright if we go and look at the rest of the land? We won't harm anything. Is it alright if we go and leave you to your day?
Absolutely.
Yes, that's always the trickiest question. That's more of a heavy yes, see? Like that's the heaviest yes.
That is the heaviest yes today so far.
So we are here to say we are sorry for disturbing you. And we do really appreciate you speaking with us. And it means a lot to us, and we appreciate your words and your communication. We hope you have a great day. Thank you for sharing your information.
Thank you so much.
There you have it.
Now we've just begun our investigation walking through the Great Serpent Mound here in Peebles, Ohio, and you might hear some chatter in the background, and I'm, taking a little rest break here in the shade already because we are here at the tail end of the peak season. It's of course a great tourist attraction. We hear lots of different accents and languages being spoken. The mound is still bringing together so many people because you can feel the power, myth, legend, intrigue surrounding this place here in a small town in southern Ohio where there's really not much for 50 miles. And people come here because it's just that legendary. Just being here is really something that you don't get to do every day. With it being the largest effigy mound in the world, multiple members of the Haunted Network have been drawn to this particular place in the crater where there's a little creek flowing. It's very serene. I thought I might have seen some shadows, and we all know light moves in mysterious ways to begin with, but we've all been sensing there might be something in this very location, and we want to find out. It might not even be human, it could be a certain elemental spirit, which is something we don't get too often in the Haunted Network, being more of a urban paranormal team. So we're going to try another spirit box session and hopefully get in touch with the other side. Oh, that's interesting. I'm getting some weird anomaly where my battery's actually increasing in charge. I've never seen that before. Are the spirits here all past human life forms? Water. Right.
Smoke?
Okay, the spirit box is especially chatty in this location, like we were anticipating. They are very chatty. Can you please show yourself for us?
Walking across the water.
Do you see footsteps?
Let me see it's gyrating.
Wow.
If it wasn't earlier. Thank you.
Thank you. What attracts you to this place besides water?
Are there any spirits here with us this afternoon? Any spirits here? Heavy, yes.
Whoa. Wow.
Heavy, yes. Thank you. Are you a non-human spirit? Are you not a human? Yes or no? No, they are human. They're a human spirit. Oh, this is a very good area right here.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Did you build mounds? Yes. Thank you. Did you like living here? Did you enjoy living here? Yes. Towards the acorn. Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. We might try to speak with you through a thing we call a spirit box. And it is safe to speak through it even if we don't understand what you're saying. Feel free to speak through it. Would it be okay if we tried our spirit box with you? And you can speak in any way that you know how. Would it be okay if we try our spirit box with you? Yes. Alright, it might be a little scary. Did you farm around here? Did you plant food around here and grow food? Crops? Earth. Okay, thanks. Sounds like there's more than one spirit here. Could everyone say their names again one more time? Can everyone say their names?
Did you only spend the summers here? Once. That must have been nice. It's a really beautiful place. Did you like to dance here and sing? Yes. I like to dance and sing with my friends. I do it all the time.
Anything else you'd like to say?
No. Thank you so much for communicating.
I am Matthew John, and I'm a spiritual teacher and intuitive healer. I'm also an intuitive astrologer, psychic, and energy healer.
Matthew, honored to have you on the Haunted Network. I really wanted to talk with you, knowing that you had a transformational experience there, am I right?
Oh, absolutely. So, me, I'm a clairvoyant, amongst other things, but my strongest psychic sense is clairvoyance. And what that means is that I get visions of things in my mind's eye, and the visions can happen both with my eyes open and with my eyes closed. And so for me, when I was at Serpent Mound, I was just feeling into the energy, getting visions. For me, I got visions of the giants walking around this place as if it was their place. I also got visions of ships in the sky at the time. And I also got, at the same time, what I was shown was that there were also humans, that there were also people, that this was a very multi-purpose place way back when, but I do believe it was built by the giants. But that was my experience there of seeing that vision.
So how does the crop circle fit into this picture?
I mean, you can never say for 100% for sure, but what motivation would someone have to fake that or whatever, right? So, to me, absolutely, that's an extraterrestrial creation, and there's obviously to me at least, obviously an extraterrestrial connection with Serpent Mound.
Is Serpent Mound even in any history books? Are kids being taught about Serpent Mound? And I mean, it's so mysterious.
It is such a mystery, but there's a mainstream narrative, and the mainstream narrative is that it was built by the Adena culture around just about 2,000 years ago. The Adena being a term for a group of natives, and that it was rebuilt or repaired by the Fort Ancient culture 900 years ago, so 1100 AD. Now, that's the mainstream narrative of it, but then we have to ask ourselves questions. Well, why was a giant, ostensibly Nephilim skeleton found in Serpent Mound? Hopefully you have that in your documentary, the picture of that, right? We have to ask ourselves, okay, why is there a crop circle there? And then we have to ask ourselves, more importantly, why do many oral native traditions say that they did not build it and it was there before they got there? And why do other native traditions say that it was the giants that actually built it?
I mean, the evidence I got sounded like we were talking to some of these natives, essentially prehistoric natives. And the Shawnee would still celebrate the busk ceremony, which is a ceremony of renewal. You go to water.
Yeah.
Participants spiritually purified or renewed by going to water, something that would take place during several junctures in the ceremony. And there's that stream right down there, and that's where we felt like there was a lot going on. And then we picked up on, what did they like other than the water? I asked.
Right.
The spirit box said the food. And this was also a huge feast. What attracts you to this place besides water? What attracts you to this place besides water?
Crops. Earth.
In the first major investigation of Serpent Mound in more than 100 years, archaeologist William Romaine out of Kent State University was tasked with analyzing the archaeoastrological data from Serpent Mound and surrounding mounds. Romaine would later publish his book Mysteries of the Hopewell, where he mentioned the busk ceremony later practiced by the Shawnee and how it relates to the belief systems of the ancient mound builders. In fact, all of the evidence that the Haunted Network was able to gather at Great Serpent Mound pointed to there being somewhat of a busk ceremony going on in the spirit realm active there. According to Shawnee folklore, they would ritually smoke tobacco at such ceremonies with belief that the smoke would be able to make the people communicate with ancestral spirits, able to sieve out messages in the smoke.
Smoke.
The data I got definitely backs up that there are parallels to the Shawnee's busk ceremony.
There are people that come at it with this very, in my opinion, fearful Christian perspective that it's all demonic, that it was built because it was probably built by the Nephilim originally, that it's demonic. I didn't experience that at all. I had a wonderful experience there, as Tom told me, and and maybe told you, people come to Peebles and they're in difficult periods in their life. They just got divorced, they're sick, and then they come out feeling better, and their life takes a positive direction, right? To me, it's not a dark place as some will put it, but it doesn't mean it wasn't built by giants. The two are not mutually exclusive. You know, Ohio itself has something like 100,000 mounds. The entire Midwest, you know, Ohio, Indiana, the whole area is filled with these effigy mounds. Why? What were they all for? There's many that in the oral traditions say that the Adena were not mound builders. There's some in the Shawnee that say that they didn't build it. Another great resource is to look at Chief Joseph Riverwind and his work, and he describes the oral traditions of many different tribes that are in the area, the Haudenosaunee tribes, like the Mohawk and the Cayugas, etc. You know, the Huron tribes, many of the Midwestern tribes, that they didn't build it. It was there before. There's oral traditions in all sorts of different tribes of giants, 7 to 9 foot tall giants that they said were the offspring of humans and star people. They had 6 fingers, okay? And this, you know, corroborates with what the skeleton looks like that, you know, you saw in your documentary. And according to, you know, Chief Joseph Riverwind, the giants and the people lived amongst each other, but the giants were the ones that believed they were in power, and there were many battles between the giants and the natives. And it's actually recorded in the Wampum Belt of the Mohawk, a great battle between the warriors and the giants. They said sometimes the giants would come and raid villages and take people. They said the giants were blood drinkers. They did sex magic. They did all sorts of, you know, what we would term dark magic rituals at these effigy mounds, like potentially Serpent Mound. Serpent Mound, you know, if we look at, this is a wonderful resource. This is a book by Ross Hamilton. Wonderful, wonderful resource, you know, a good friend of Tom's. Great to see all the different alignments and just how perfectly laid out Serpent Mound is. This shows the solstice alignments, right? Where, you know, the summer solstice comes right through the head of the serpent, where the sunrise on the summer solstice, the equinox sunrise, and the winter solstice sunrise come at some of the bends in the tail. There's many esteemed researchers out there that don't buy the mainstream narrative that this was only built 2,300 years ago or only built 900 years ago. Now, how do we kind of weave this all together? Okay, someone says it was built 900 years ago. Someone says it was built 2,300 years ago. Someone says it was built 12,000 years ago. And then who knows? You know, there's a crop circle there. There's a giant skeleton in there. It's in a meteorite, right? You know, on Ancient Aliens, they pose the question, like, what if ships were using the metals from the meteorite for power sources, which I think is very possible as well. How do we weave all this together, right? To me, this has been rebuilt many times. And I have no evidence to support this other than my own intuitive receivings on this. So take that for what it is that, yes, it was originally built by giants, but it has been rebuilt many times. I think absolutely the Adena and the Fort Ancients rebuilt it, but I don't think they originally built it. Is it a turtle? Yes. But I think before it was a turtle, it may have potentially just been a serpent. So it's a wonderful exercise, the way I see it, in non-duality, which is a lot of what I teach, is that nothing is good or evil. Nothing is good or bad. All just is. It all just, and there's many infinite perspectives to see anything. You know, there was a group of Christians that went to Serpent Mound years back and, you know, wanted to bulldoze it, and, you know, because they believe it's demonic, right? And thankfully there were native groups there to, you know, to stop them, right? And then there's groups that go there to hold every year wonderful ceremonies of light, love and light and unity on the solstice there. I believe it's a powerful place that's a portal that has been used for both dark and light over tens of thousands of years of its existence. And thankfully that, we're able to visit there and experience it, and I think that I love what you guys picked up on the Haunted Network. Those are native spirits. Absolutely. You were talking to native spirits. Absolutely. It's not a dark, just because it was built by giants, I think, and a lot of people think, and there's evidence, it doesn't mean it's demonic. It means it's this special place that has been used for all sorts of different purposes over time. And like all go to Glastonbury, go to Mount Shasta, go to Sedona, go to any of the sacred sites where ley lines cross on the planet, you'll get that experience of both dark and light, because they're portals.
Have you been to any other haunted mounds? Do you think they're all haunted? What kind of...
Okay.
And also, if you think so, what can cause a haunting?
So, I wouldn't call it haunted. I wouldn't, not at all. To me, that term applies, and it may just be a nomenclature thing, but to me, that term applies to old buildings that have spirits that have remained there and not gone to the other side, right? I don't view Serpent Mound as that. I view Serpent Mound as, again, a portal where all sorts of different spirits are around, some dark, some light. I don't consider that haunted. But what causes a haunting is, when spirits are in a place that they believe it's their right to stay there, and these spirits aren't of the light. They've turned away from the light when they had the opportunity to after death, and thus they remain in a place and just bother people until something happens that causes them to go somewhere else or eventually go back to the light. That's the simplest explanation I can give.
Interesting. So, are you familiar with stone tape theory?
No, what's that?
That there is a memory of place. I mean, it's been proven that water has a memory. Right? So,
yeah. Oh, land has a memory, absolutely. I don't know if this is what you're referring to, but stones hold memories, trees obviously hold memories. Any piece of land holds memories.
Could that cause spirits to show up?
Let me give you an example. Let me give you a great example. Anywhere on the planet where there's been a genocide, the land there, even if it was 5, 10, 50,000 years ago, holds the memory of that. And there's spirits that will not move on out of fear and remain around that area, just to a spirit that hasn't gone to the other side and that is earthbound. The perception of time is very different. 5 years, 100 years, 10,000 years can go by like that in their perception. And also it can attract just spirits that feel there's a vibrational resonance with that darkness. So dark spirits will congregate in a place like that. So absolutely, land that has had, and just the same, like land that has had a lot of light work done on it will attract light spirits around. I just had that experience recently at a retreat I was running. It was the most energetically charged in a lightweight land I think I've ever come across. And so yeah, absolutely, that land holds memory.